Hey, good evening, everybody. Hope you can hear. We've been having some technical difficulties in the back, but the message tonight is going to be loud and clear. It's been loud and clear for over 57 years. The one, the only, I really need to introduce him because he's awesome. But Dr. Didi Humber is our guest tonight, and I am so honored to host him and to be the one to introduce him tonight. Before we let Dr. Humber on, make sure that you call in and get registered with DE. It's starts next Thursday. It's packed. It's at Clearwater Beach, and if for some reason the technology doesn't work tonight, Dr. Humber told me just show up at Clearwater Beach and he'll give you his talk next Thursday. But for no more introduction, because we're having some technical troubles and it's late, so I'm going to introduce Dr. Didi Humber. Take it away, Didi.
Hear me? Hello?
You're on. You're on. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello?
He said, go ahead.
Are we okay?
Yes.
Hello?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Humber.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hey, it's great to be with you folks tonight. And I got my beautiful bride with me. I wasn't going to let Sanchez get ahead of me. Y'all all know that sweet bride of mine, another beautiful blonde, and just delighted to have her with me. And this young lady's been with me for, I won't tell you how many years. She don't tell the whole story. But all I can say is I met her the first time when she was 14 and singing in the church choir. So it's been a long time, but we've had a wonderful relationship. We resulted in 4 kids and 15 grands. We just had a new grand recently, and we got a 11th great grand coming up here in the next week or so. So anyway, it's been, we can say it's been a fruitful relationship as well. But Sweet Pea, how about saying hey to these folks?
Hey, good to see everybody. We're looking forward to DE coming up. Hope you can all be there.
Yeah, we're going to have a great meeting down in Sarasota, and we're looking forward to it. In fact, we will be driving down a week from tomorrow from here in St. Simons. And speaking of St. Simons, Andy and Renee paid us a visit down here a year or so back, and we had a good time together, had a little lunch. Actually, they had just had lunch at a favorite restaurant of ours, and so we were delighted they stopped by to see us. And anytime any of you people are down this way, please let us know. We'd love to communicate and get together. So, in fact, I'll mention this too. Alan Davis called me out of the blue last week and said that he is going to be traveling down this way, and sometime before the end of this month, he's going to be coming by St. Simon. So we're looking forward to see Alan. Hadn't seen him in a while, but most of you people on this call tonight know Dr. Allen. But at any rate, it's great to be with you tonight. I want to thank, of course, we're running a little behind, but I want to thank Dr. Andy, of course, for introducing me, and Dr. Brian Lieberman for getting this thing going, and Brian Moriarty for emceeing, and then Katrina and her crew up there. They're always so astute. They know exactly what to do, and we weren't able to get that sound situation worked out, but they've always done a great job for us. And Katrina, we appreciate all y'all do up there. And before I get into any other aspect of the message tonight, I would like to ask prayer for Denise. Well, in fact, we need a lot of prayer for a lot of different reasons this day and time, but particularly Denise Dotz, and then, of course, Tim having lost Dar recently, we need to remember Dr. Tim Zook. And then I don't know, we haven't seen Dr. Jerry Klum at DE in some time now, but Jerry is a longtime friend. You know, he was chosen by Dr. Sid to go out to Life West and became the first president of Life West in 1980. He developed some health issues a little over just about a year ago now. And he is on a dialysis situation 8 hours a day. And then just last Friday, he had a bad, about this time last week, had a bad fall. And on Friday, had surgery. So let's keep these folks in your thoughts and prayers, if you will. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of need for prayer in our country today. We have a lot of issues to face, and we have a lot of them to face in chiropractic as well. And I'm not going to be talking about a lot of those issues tonight, but I'll be talking about them when we get down to Sarasota, and it'll be a thing that is so necessary that we as chiropractors come together. And one of the things about these Tuesday night calls, and I know I mentioned it before, that we have Dr. Sid and Nell. It's kind of ironic, but when they used to invite chiropractors to come to their office back in the late 50s and early 60s, when they had their get-togethers at their office, it was on a Tuesday night as well. So we've been having Tuesday night get-togethers chiropractically for many, many years. So it's just a wonderful thing. And Brian Lieberman, I hope you're on the call. If you're not, but somebody pass the word. But we really appreciate you spearheading this effort, because it is so meaningful. And I get on every Tuesday night I can. And it's inspiring to me a lot just to hear testimony from chiropractors and how DE has affected them so many different ways in there, and not only just chiropractically, but in their life. The message from DE, and of course, Dr. Sid and Nell put that message out loud and clear, and it's been carried on since they're gone, and we hope it'll carry on for years and years to come, and blessing people. And I will say, this is one of the doctors I was listening a month or so ago, can't remember exactly, and don't remember his name either. I should have written it down. Well, I was telling Beth about it this afternoon, but I vividly remember he said that he came to DE as a student at Life, and down to Waverly, I think it was. And when he got there, it was a big crowd, huge crowd, but he said, this is not for me. He said that they're not talking my language. So he didn't return to DE. Well, some years later, I'm talking about 20 something years later, I guess it is, someone talked to him and said, man, you need to go back to DE. And so he shows up in Sarasota, DE. I don't know whether it was a year, 2, 3 years ago back, but anyway, he happened to get there at the time when I was speaking. And he said, you mean that's D.D. Humber? He's still around? Well, I had to laugh at that, because and I want to tell you this too, because every one of you people out there, regardless of what age you are, you may be a student and you're in your 20s. I don't know. You may be in young DC in your 30s or 35 or so, or you may be in your 50s or even your 60s on this call tonight. But I can tell you one thing. This idea of looking at people even in their 80s, and I know theoretically person gets to be 80, they say statistically it's sort of checkout time, but you really need to have a understanding that, like, people look at me. My granddaughter, when I turned 85, she looked up at me. She calls me DD. She don't call me granddaddy. She said, DD, you're 85? Like I was Methuselah or something. But at any rate, it's great that we've been blessed by a long life. And through this life, we've been so blessed because of chiropractic. Blessed first by God, introduced to our Savior, Jesus Christ, early on when I went to Cradle Roll at our local Baptist church. in Southwest Atlanta, not far from where Dr. Sid and I were raised up. And then, to be introduced to chiropractic when I was 13 years old. My brothers, two of them, Dr. T.O. and Dr. J.K., were at Palmer. This was in the late 40s. And they called, and I'd been having a lot of stomach issues, headaches, and so forth as a young teenager. And so they encouraged my mom to take me. I went to Dr. Grady Lake, chiropractor, got my first adjustment. So it's been like 74 years ago that I had my first adjustment. And then in 52, in the fall class, the 1052 class, enrolled at Palmer and graduated with Dr. Sid and Dale in the spring of 56. So we've had just a marvelous time in chiropractic. You know, we've had opportunities, so many opportunities, so many blessings. The major blessings is our health. Other than God, God and chiropractic has made the difference in our lives. I can tell you that. And Beth, if she was in here right now, she had to leave, but if she was in here right now, she'd tell you the same thing. We've had so many blessings. Our daughter, Laurel, some of y'all have heard this story before, some haven't, but when she's 10 months old, she came down with polio. And that was back in the days when polio was the iron lung situation. But she came through it with adjustments. We were checking her Beth had her at the office. I was checking her not every day. I was checking her every hour on the hour. And that's the other thing I want to mention. You know, for you DCs in practice, and I'm not sure what your methodology is and how scheduling patients, but I want to encourage you, if that patient's having difficulty with pain or even if they don't have symptoms, if you find for whatever reason that they don't seem to be holding their adjustment, don't just send them home. You tell them to come, you can send them home, but tell them to come back in a couple of 3 hours. Nothing wrong with seeing the patient twice a day or 3 times a day. I know Gonstead did that. I mentioned that before when Sid and myself were up there in 72 and saw Gonstead, his clinic. We weren't even there hardly 24 hours. He saw us 3 different times and got us checked and adjusted. So I would encourage you to do that. And I know the doctor that runs Oklahaven, I forget her name right now, but she's been running Oklahaven for years. That's the kids out in Oklahoma City. And she was on a Life West program not long ago. And I heard her speaking about the fact that those kids have difficulties. And she says, we never think about just seeing them 1 time a day. When they come, we want to see them at least 2 or 3 times every day to make sure their little bodies is clear of interference. And so I encourage you guys to do that, and you gals as well. So important that nervous system stays clear. And a lot of times one adjustment won't get the job done. You may think it is, you dismiss them, and maybe you got a line of people waiting in your reception area you need to get to. But make sure that those people have their needs taken care of. And, you know, my brother, Dr. T.O., and I've spoken to him, many of y'all know that, in fact, he was the one that adjusted Dr. Sid the first time and gave Dr. Sid his first Atlas adjustment. Made such a difference. Dr. Sid made his decision to go to chiropractic college, he and Dr. Nell. But Dr. T.O., and I had 2 other brothers, chiropractors as well, but Dr. T.O. Had a unique doctor-patient relationship. And I hope most of you have it. If you don't have it, give it some thought tonight. And that is that when that patient's with you, they should be nobody in this world but just you 2. Nobody. They need to not only have your undivided attention, but they need to be felt like the same way. They need to feel like there's nobody but you and them. And Dr. T.O. could do that. And I can recall so many times he was so concerned, even with his brother, when I'd have symptoms of various sorts, I'd call Dr. T.O. and he said, what's going on? And I'd tell him, he said, get down here at such and such time. Let me check you out. And it didn't make any difference what time of day or night it was. He wanted to make sure he got me cleared out. And so, and I know everybody has their own characteristics on how they do things. Like I said, I had two other brothers. They cared about me too. And Dr. J.K., he adjusted me many, many times. Dr. Harold, I didn't get any adjustments from him because he wasn't doing all upper cervical work like T.O. and J.K. But at any rate, I saw him many, many times too. And he makes sure that you see once a week or whatever it is, or even twice a week or 3 times a week. But if they need it, make sure you see them 2 or 3 times a day. It wouldn't hurt at all. But I want to also mention that, and I'm going to be talking about this more thoroughly and more deeply because I have a little more time down in not Sarasota, but in Clearwater. But today we got so many things going on in this world today. It seems like Beth says a lot of times. She says it looks like the devil is taking over. There's so much going on today that's just like evil, and some of it is reaching in. It's not just in this country we live in or this world we live in, but it's in chiropractic as well. And we'll be talking about that. And many of you already have experienced it. These laws, these state laws, where like in New York, and so many of them are DC guys up in New York having that issue where your kids, their religious exemption or personal religious exemption just taken away from them by law, by the governor and the legislature. And that's just not right. But they're having to live under those type of situations. And our chiropractor, Dr. Hal Crow here in Brunswick, we see him. We saw him this afternoon, got checked. But his daughter and her husband lived out on Long Island in New York. And when she first got the word that that law was going to be passed, she immediately told her dad and told her husband, she said, we're not staying here. And they ended up out in Austin, Texas. They got up, packed their bags and left. And I think a lot of people are probably leaving New York. Everybody can't leave, but those type of things are happening all the time. And having these challenges for personal freedoms that are ours. And one of the latest things, I got a thing from Dr. Rand Paul. He's a Republican senator in Kentucky, and it just came in the mail yesterday or the day before. And he's telling me now they're talking about having these vaccine passports. The possibility of making a federal law that you have to have a passport if you're going to go anywhere saying that you've been vaccinated. So, doctors, we got a lot of issues facing us, and we need a lot of prayer. I believe in prayer, and we need a lot of prayer, and we need a lot of people concerned about these issues and be willing to step up and step out. I know Walter Sanchez last week mentioned about his chiropractors. We need to step up and speak out. Well, we do. And I'm going to be talking about this down there. I don't give my Clearwater talk, but I guess I'm giving part of it. But at any rate, there's no question about that. We need to be active. We need to do everything we can to try to stem this tide that's sweeping across the country here in the U.S. It affects us here. And our friends in Canada, for heaven's sakes, they having issues up there, and I'll talk more about that. But it's been terrible. Talking to Peter Amlinger this week, they haven't been able to come down to DE now in so long. It's just terrible because they can't get out of Canada. They won't let them out because of this crazy virus. And I don't know how many of you knew this, but some of you did, prayed for us. But as soon as I came back from DE, got back on, Beth and I drove back Sunday afternoon. Monday, I felt fine during the day. That night, I started having chills and headaches. And next thing you know, I'm down with COVID. I had it for 3 weeks and 3 weeks of recovery. In fact, I still have some issues left over, residual issues from that thing. But so the virus is real. But to the extent that it's made a controlled situation, it's just been all. It's just been political. It's just been a shame. So I hope y'all keep this nation of ours, this world of ours in your prayers. And we got to keep in mind that what the world needs now is not just love, sweet love. It is that, but it's chiropractic as well. And every time we have an opportunity to care for a patient, adjust a patient, we know that we're doing whatever we can to relieve their suffering, to take care of their health issues. And not only do they appreciate it, but it makes a better world because we know, I remember Saran that shot Kennedy out in California, Robert Kennedy, not John. his mother said later, and Dr. Sid used to talk about that he had never been the same. He shot Robert Kennedy and killed him, and she said he never has been the same since he fell off of that horse. And so, got subluxated. So many people, for various reasons, get these subluxated. We know all about that, but it's so important. And I think a lot of these politicians this day and time are subluxated. Sometimes I think that whole Congress up there needs adjusting, because it doesn't make any difference, Democrat or Republican. It seems like things are happening now that you just never experienced in my lifetime. So many of it. We've never been challenged to the way we are now. So there's good things ahead, but we have to step up and step out. We have to speak up and speak out. And as chiropractors, and we'll be, like I say, we'll be talking more about that when we get down to Clearwater. And by the way, that's going to be a great new facility down there for us. Be first time. I know Kat and them been working really hard on trying to make sure with the hotel everything works out. It's going to be a great facility. We know it's beautiful. It's right there on Sandestin Beach in Clearwater. So everybody will enjoy it from a weather perspective, I'm sure. And hope all of you got your room. If you hadn't, I know Serge saw Trey. He told me just today that he got a room. I guess he called Kat and talked to her, and they got a room for him because he hadn't planned to come. His daughter is graduating from high school, and he didn't think he's going to be able to come down, but he's going to be able to join us. So I was tickled to hear that. And Serge is, I've been working with him with a meeting on Monday nights called Sustainability Committee, and we've taken up issues in chiropractic for like the last 9 or 10 years, every other Monday night. And Serge chairs that program, and I've always wanted to support him. He's an energetic young man. He's a smart young man, and he understands politics. Dr. Sid taught him well, as Dr. Sid taught me. But at any rate, happy to have Serge come down. We're gonna have a like it's already been talked about, overflow crowds, and we're looking forward to it. And those of you, particularly if you're a young DC or you're a student, I don't know, maybe some students on the line tonight. I hope you are. But we know that you have difficult times in chiropractic education today. The rate now, somewhere like $200,000. You get out of school and you owe that kind of money. I know they're talking about Congress just saying, okay, we'll wipe those slate clean. You don't owe anything. And I'm sure you'd breathe a sigh of relief. But there's burdens that you have. But I want to encourage you, if you're a young practitioner, or if you're about to go into practice, or if you're a student, start visiting DE chiropractors in the local community. And if you're out in Kansas City and you're in the school out there at Cleveland, you need to go and visit Harding and them out there. If you're in at Life and Meredith, you got so many of our DE people you can visit their offices. But if you go to a DE chiropractor who understands the principle of chiropractic, understands the loving, serving, giving concept, and then you get in that environment, you need to stay in that environment and learn from those people, because they can teach you so much. I will coach you this, though. When you go to visit their office, zip up the lip. Don't go spitting off all the time. I remember Doc Sid used to say, Dee, I had this guy come by, and you wouldn't believe it. All he wanted to do is talk. I told him, son, you're going to have to leave. I can't deal with you, because he was running his mouth in Doc Sid while Doc Sid's caring for his patients. So you have to be there to observe and ask questions when you're just with your doctor. But they would love to have you. Most of our DE people, I know, have an open heart. They'd be glad to help you anyway. So you're a new doctor early in your practice. Or if you're about to go into practice and already got your license and you're looking for some place to locate or to associate with, you sign up with a DE doctor, and as close as you can find to wherever you want to live. Doesn't have to be in the Merida area. If you're in Ohio or Kentucky or Tennessee or South Carolina or wherever, and so if you're over Sherman, in that area over there. But just visit chiropractors who got the DE message. It's so important. Make a tremendous impact on your success in chiropractic. And you know, chiropractic is, when it started off, it's not easy. It's not something that they just come pouring in the front door, and all you have to do is sit back with your feet up on your desk, and they're gonna run in. That don't happen that way. You have to work at it, and these people know what to do. It makes all the difference in the world. I know Walter last week, in his talk, he talked about when he was early at DE, and I think they were still students. He and Dana Becher and someone else, I forget who he said, they took off up to, I know it was Palmer Pete, and they took off up to Michigan, because in those days at DE, the Michigan crowd, it was like a lot like the Florida crowd today, or the Georgia crowd, or the New Jersey crowd. They were right on top of it. And Ian Grossman sort of led the group up there, but there was John Hoffman, Ian Grossman, Jimmy Gregg, and Chuck Ribley, and Hank Kuzno was another one that they brought along. But those guys had it going, as Walter mentioned, and they went up there and observed those people and got the vision of what a big practice is like, and what it takes to produce something like that. And it's not just for your success, but you got to realize every time you adjust a patient and clear them, the world, their life becomes better, but the world becomes better as a result. And so it's good to have good people who know what to do and who are interested in you as a young fledgling DC or potential DC. They'd be happy to welcome you to their office. So encourage you to do that. That's so very important. And I want to also mention that we have people in chiropractic today. We've talked about it so much, and in fact, it just gets, sometimes I just get absolutely tired of so much. Back in the early days when we got out of school, there was the mixer straight issue, and the back in those days, the straights had all the big practices, and the quote mixers, they had therapy in there, but they would charge $10 or $5 or $10 for the visit in those days, and that was pretty high. Back when we started out, I've mentioned it many times before, we were $2 or $3 a visit. But at any rate, they would charge that, but then they'd do the therapy. There was no extra charge because they couldn't get insurance to pay for it. And then when the insurance equality laws came in, and we fought for those, they came in and they found out all of a sudden the insurance is paying for all those modalities. And next thing you know, many of the quote conservative or straight chiropractors went the money route. And so we got a lot of people in our profession today who are out there. Their main goal is for themselves, and it's so bad. When you come to DE, you won't find a situation where people are out for themselves. They're out for you. They want you to succeed. They want you to shed your husk, so to speak, and they want you to understand the principle of loving, serving, giving, the lasting purpose principle. And so that not only that you practice principle of chiropractic, but that you're able to reach so many other people. Time you add all these therapies on. I was thinking this afternoon that it's the very idea. If you go up to the bell tower at Life, and most of you know this, most of you have been to the bell tower, you've been inside, and you've seen those jailbird names, and all those people didn't go to jail. Dr. Sid told me, he said, Dee, if they were charged with practicing medical without a license, where they were actually jailed, we want their names on that wall. And so 700 and something that we collected, and our office had the responsibility of researching and getting all those names. Of course, Herbert Ross Reva, he's the number one. He spent more time in jail than any of the other docs that was listed on that wall. But I thought to myself this afternoon, I said, yeah, people, he had patients coming to him while he was in jail. His last time he served 6 months. Can you imagine having to serve 6 months in jail just because you're practicing chiropractic? It's hard for young people to imagine such a thing. But that's what he served. But he had patients coming to see him at the jail to get their adjustments. And then he was adjusting the people in the jail that worked there. And but they weren't coming. What I thought about, they sure didn't go to to see him in jail, expecting they're going to get some diathermy or ultrasound. As Doc said, used to say better sonorator. You know what we're talking about. But at any rate, they came to get adjusted. And he didn't have, Herbert Ross Reeser in jail had what? He had the knowledge. He had palpation skills. He had his two hands. That's all he had, maybe a bench or something to lay the patient down on. And that's all he had to take care of those people that came to see him. And they voiced they were there in thrones because of him and his dedication to chiropractic. And so we got to stay firm in our chiropractic understanding, in our firm belief. We don't need everybody's welcome, regardless of how you practice it. They're welcome to come to DE. But bottom line is this: what the public needs out there, what the world needs out there, is vertebral subluxation. You know, D.D. Palmer, when he discovered chiropractic in 1895, it was the fact that bones were out of place on the nerves that caused malfunction in the body. His son, B.J., took that concept and he developed it. So he's known it. We got D.D. as discoverer, B.J. as the developer, and then Dr. Sid E. Williams, the defender. And all of that was there. They weren't defending modalities. They weren't defending diathermy, ultrasound, or whatever. They weren't defending laser. They weren't defending. That don't mean that wasn't what was discovered, folks. What was discovered was removal of nerve interference, not relief, not giving people just relief. Remove the interference. That's what they need. Have a person leave that office clear. And as I mentioned earlier, whether they come in there for just one visit, but they still have issues, schedule them back if they need it. It makes all the difference in the world. So I know it's running late now. We had a few minutes late getting started for technical difficulties, but I want you to know I love and appreciate all of you. I'm looking forward to being, Beth and I are looking forward to seeing you down in Clearwater. Have safe travels. Keep the faith. Turn the crank. Testify, Dr. Sid said. So it's been great being with you tonight, and love and appreciate you. Take care.
Dr. Humber, that was awesome, man. That was like dropping the mic about 20 times. That was awesome. One thing you said, that this guy who's been practicing 32 years, we have to have the faith and the trust to do the right thing. And if we have to have somebody 3 or 4 times a day, do the right thing. That's awesome. That very much. Sounds like the static is bad. Everybody get to Clearwater week from Thursday. It's starting up. You'll see this guy here. He's awesome. Love you, man. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, Andy.
Love
Have
you.
a good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.